Should we?
All right, Tommy.
All right, we're on.
We're on. We're live.
We're live here on a very beautiful day, the day after Mother's Day.
Oh, thank you, Lord. Beautiful day in Buford.
Let's send out a belated Mother's Day to all the moms out there, and especially like the ones that have left us already, unfortunately.
Yeah, too many of those, right?
Yeah.
Gosh.
We had a great day here. I know you did too, and
Yeah, nothing like
nothing like
proclaiming the moms and having the grandkids around.
And now we can, like I told everybody yesterday, as things were winding up, start putting your heads together. The nice thing about Mom's Day coming first, you can find some do's and don'ts and kind of polish off the routine for Dad's Day. You know what I mean?
Right. Because Dad's, I guess you could say, is a little more important.
Well, I don't want to say that, but it's
Just
a big
kidding.
day in June, and I like personally celebrate it the weekend here on a personal note.
Yeah, I
But,
take the whole weekend and, I make it actually, I guess June is Pride Month. I actually make it Father's Day month.
It's year round with Pride and all this stuff, but I don't get it. I just don't get any of that shit. But it's funny. Let's go there to start the show. It's been a while, and
It's been a while.
Trump won, and these Democrats. I'm going to say it now. These are not our fathers' Democrats.
No, they're not.
And growing up, you and I both voted for the person we thought best handled the job, right? And we also both believed in checks and balances,
Mm-hmm.
And I voted for Chuck Schumer many times over the years.
I did.
Here's the problem. This is no longer our dad's Democrats, number one. Number two, Chuck Schumer's still in office. And they show clips of Nancy Pelosi in the 90s.
There's so much both
She's
sides.
still there. It's the one guy just died. He actually's been around since Lincoln. I mean, he died right in chamber. In fact, Feinstein
Dianne Feinstein.
Feinstein did die in chamber.
Yep.
How do we vote on men playing against women? No, we need term limits to stop the absurdity of what's going on, and that goes on both sides.
Yeah,
Rand Paul's
well.
been around since the Etzel,
He looks like a puppet.
but no, seriously, the man took over, voted in by the majority of people. Obviously, he won the
Electoral
I'm
College.
getting-
Won the popular vote in the Electoral College.
I'm getting a question live right now as we speak.
Oh, okay.
From a good friend, our buddy Timmy in Sunnyside, and he wants to know if you have any idea how we gained access to the bunkhouse.
Well, yeah, I do. Timmy, let's talk a little bit. We'll go back. We'll come back to politics in a minute. The bunkhouse. So, 1989 trip to Bills versus Miami. Stayed where they filmed Caddyshack, and we noticed that on the first floor, not far from the bar and the pool, there was a room that was unlocked on the sliding glass door.
And this is, believe it or not, it's going to sound so stupid, but this worked. Go
This
ahead.
worked. So we called it the bunkhouse. We went there and hung out.
What did we do? The most important part of the whole move. The key part of the move was?
Go to the bar
No.
and use the bunkhouse.
Right, but how did we maintain possession of the bunkhouse?
Not let Pete know.
Do not disturb. We put a do not disturb sign on the outside. It worked for the weekend.
It worked for the whole weekend. When they finally figured it out, and we would go up and see Stephanie, the barmaid, and go, Stephanie, hey, give me a rum and coke. Give me 2 rum and cokes and
That's a
put it on
112.
112.
It was
bunkhouse.
perfect because you could leave the pool, go right in and void.
Yeah.
And we did ask that it stuck to just ones, right?
Number
not to
one.
twos.
Right.
Calling home was great to talk to mom and dad. And,
Remember, no cell phones.
no, there were no cell phones in the day, but that's how we collected the bunkhouse and kept it for the weekend. True story.
And how do we lose the bunkhouse?
Stupidity.
Yeah.
You said no, Pete. It was a Pete line. You can't advertise. You got to be careful. And he, of course, was flaunting it. And of course, one of the guys invited him, our other Pete,
Yeah.
to join us and stay with us.
Right.
Now we already had 4 or 5 rooms with 2 or 3 in each room.
All right.
And the quote too, the quote of the '90s probably was late '80s, '89.
Well, you can just
Toss him a mattress.
toss them a mattress.
And we said, who's sleeping on a
Who's Tom and
box
I?
spring?
We're not slinging on a box spring, so we're not tossing anyone a mattress. So this said Maryvilleite went to the bunkhouse and got caught.
And by the way, I think he's still working on a really a solid career, early entry level in paper and plastic.
Paper plastic.
But anyways, going back to what we're talking about with these Democrats, they are socialist, satanic sons of bitches.
Along those lines with satanic, my buddy Brian Shanahan calls them democrats.
No, I call them satanic socialists. What they've done now, they're busting into these detention centers for publicity stunts.
Mm-hmm.
They're bending over backwards for these criminals. They're poor children with tattoos. It's MS-13. Stop the bullshit. This shit stain know nothing. Let our borders become non-existent.
Yeah.
But it was all part of the Obama plan. That's who
fast.
actually ran the country for 4 years. Open borders, no walls. The world is one big happy kumbaya.
Yeah.
Well, it's not.
No, it's
The
not.
Muslim invasion is horrific. And many of the countries, Belgium, Hungary put up fences and said, hasta la vista, no way.
Hasta la vista, baby.
And of
France
course-
is ready to throw every towel hut out.
It's brutal everywhere. Hungary kicked out George Soros, who came here. And I didn't elect George Soros. Well, he's involved in everything here Democratic.
Everything demon.
But these Democrats are complaining and moaning and bitching and everything about Donald Trump, who won, like we started off by saying, and mandates to make this country better. Guys, we were a paper tiger. We were going bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
And we're no longer friends with anybody in the world. Well, there was not, we had no, our army was depleted because of we don't care where we are found. We get on nothing. Anyways,
Plus, the Chinese had about 3 times the destroyers that we have.
we won World War II basically because of our ability to reproduce. We don't make anything in this country
Children
anymore.
reproduce or
Well,
produce?
equipment like tanks. We would push out tanks, planes. It overwhelmed Germany,
through the Ford and GM
right?
plants.
And American ingenuity. The Japs and the Germans started the war with basically whatever they were going to have.
Mm-hmm.
All their available men and everything. That was it. They were done. We were able to, with our ingenuity, and our the women, Rosie the Riveter and all that, working the plants and keeping the building going. The Japs thought they had sunk the Hornet on 2 occasions. They didn't. But the first gigantic aircraft carrier off the lot was the USS Hornet. We actually sunk the Hornet ourselves because it was so badly damaged, and it terrified the Japanese. Now you have to remember there was no CNN, thank God, no coverage, no news, and the Japanese kept saying, "We keep attacking it, and it keeps coming back bigger and better."
Yeah, they probably thought it was some kind of mystic thing, like
Right. Well,
ghost or
especially the
God or
first
something.
POW they caught, and they stripped them, and then it's
kinda
bigger
weird.
and better. But anyways, but this the COVID taught us we didn't even have masks anymore.
Everything was there.
And what he's doing with these tariffs, he's destroying the middle class.
Oh, the middle class is gone.
No, he's making it better. And by the way, the tax breaks for the rich, I want to stop hearing that bullshit. That affects me.
That's
And
me too.
And you too. Those tax cuts, and we're not rich. And by the way, the rich pay about 90% of the taxes in the country. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
And now you hear on GR and you hear on even BEN, Tascos Medicaros.
Okay.
Tell your like Cedar Loose Light. Tell your congressman not to stop punishing the states that are giving Medicaid to the undocumented.
Oh, sure.
Well, who's paying for this?
I guess
Who's payola?
You know who we are? We are.
They're fighting for this piece of shit Dad of the Year from Maryland.
He was Dad of the Year.
These Democrats, all they care about the crime. What have they done to us? Right? They've trying to take away our guns, defund the police, shut down the prisons, screw the COs, the mutilation of our young, pornography in schools. Like the book Assless Ale, Ass Chaps
Assless
Ale,
Chaps.
and the Wonder Worm. Joe was a neighbor who had a one. No, but
The Wonder
it's
Worm.
satanic.
Yes, it
Furs.
is.
Some kids are furries. These drugs now for the transgender shit, right? If you're gay, you're gay. But Little kids don't know if they're gay or not, what their sexual preference is. They shouldn't worry about that. But now they're starting them on the drugs, and they don't tell mom and dad. And why? Because once they're on the drugs, they're on it for years. And then little Susie, who's now Billy, but wishes she was Susie, gets all whacked out and gets a gun and goes into a Christian school.
Or blows her own brains out.
Well, first,
Terrible.
That would be terrible, but better than shooting up all the Christian kids.
Right.
You know, this push for Muslim and Ali Akbar.
Oh yeah,
That's taken over.
Catholic churches are now being filled by Muslims.
We're paying for this shit. It's America first.
Right.
And the tariffs had to happen. Our great Canadian neighbors. Bullshit.
They've been
They were
banging
letting
us for
people.
years.
They sure have been. They deregulated a bunch of shit. They wouldn't buy our stuff. It just ridiculous shit. And what the Democrats were letting them get away with, stretching all the rules, and they did nothing. The last president wasn't even a president. He had no idea what was going
He
on.
didn't know where he was.
But California, and look at these states that are run by these Democrats. They're falling apart.
And the highest crime.
What, 900 billion in debt in California?
Yep.
And now Trump was mocking out the bullet train that they're still haven't made. 30 years now.
Yeah.
It's gone from 22 million to 16 trillion. That's a T. They still haven't put a spike in the ground. And the Democrats will tell you, well, Gavin's trying to work with the president. I don't want to pay for that shit.
I'm paying for some bullet trains.
And we
Why? So you can go slum to slum?
And in New York here, gang, and tell your neighbors and stuff, starting in January 1st, this push for electric is going down. And you're going to find it harder and harder to buy air conditioning as we know it, freezers, stoves as we know it,
Natural
because of
gas.
Hochul's Heat Act. All right, this is coming down. The power panels, our boxes, right? We both increased ours to what, 200?
200 amps. Yeah.
They say 400 at least.
And guess what? That is not cheap.
It's not cheap. Do the people in the city with these paper thin walls have any idea what's coming? When people were freezing to death over 3 days
Right.
with their stoves on,
Right.
what are you going to do now when the electric goes down? Because the grid can't handle it, guys. They can't.
It's not even close.
And they want you to buy electric cars. And now, starting January 1st, Paddock Chevrolet or, Wester Ford, they can't sell gas cars until all their EVs are gone.
Yeah.
Which is going to be horrific.
So you want to come in and buy a gas car, they look at you and go, well, we can't. Meanwhile, they got them all sitting there on the lot that nobody wants them.
Can put you in this little EV that the little lady, well, actually, she didn't use it at all. And now they want you to buy the EV, and then that's going to get vandalized, right?
Yep.
You drive off, get a brick through it.
It's all right, though. You can vandalize anything that Musk is, involved with. It's not a crime.
The Doge and stuff, the horrific double duplication of everything. The Democrats running for mayor of the city of Buffalo came out and said there's too much staff
See a
in
Buffalo.
City Hall. There's too much duplication of services and too much money going to NGOs in the city. You would have thought it was Republicans.
Yep.
It's the Democrats. Well, that's what this guy's doing in Washington, guys. USAID. I don't think the Syrians didn't even realize they were looking at Marilyn Monroe with a banana hammock. They have no idea. In fact, these countries are saying, I didn't see any of these shows. Where'd the money go? I'm thinking like little Stacey Abrams there with her $9 billion Save a Tree Foundation.
Yeah.
And she makes, of course, $3 billion a year as CEO.
Yeah.
No, and believe me, there's Republicans corrupt too.
Oh, yeah.
But-
Corruption rampant. But the difference is their ideals. Their ideals as a Republican is U.S. first. You need to work to make your money. Okay? And we're here to support, but not hold you.
Right. Nobody. Chucky Schumer, the coward. I call him a coward kike. I'm going to come out and say it. All the shit going on these campuses for these Jewish kids. Yet we have to hear about the rights of the masked pisspots destroying these campuses.
Well, yeah, I mean, and he's Jewish, okay? And yet he sticks up for this Columbia and this Harvard and all the BS and the way they're treating those Jewish kids, who, by the way, Jewish people, they work. They don't kill people in general. They're not criminals, and they work hard. What's so bad about that?
And Hamas, from the sea, river to the sea, to Grandma's house we go. And now it's the gay pride for Hamas. You better think about getting a real good plastic surgeon that's cheap. Because what they're going to do to that pooper. No, I don't understand where And we said it here, and it's true. The professors are brainwashing these kids.
Oh yeah.
These young girls. Professor Motorbro, would you like to get a C? Yes. Wow. And now they're out protesting. They're for Hamas. Take a flight over there and see how wonderful it is. And Hamas.
You're killing me.
Now, one protest for that guy that was just released today after almost 20 months.
Yep.
Where was all the outrage for him? Nobody gave a shit. But we're worried about Hamas. Stop the war. It's horrible. They started it.
Yes, they did.
And you know what? Finish them off.
October 6th,
And
they started.
USAID and all that stuff. They had their, was it the Red Cross or whatever? Was just a headquarters for Hamas.
Yeah.
And then you went down the stairs in the huge tunnels.
Unbelievable.
But Donnie gets in office and he gives them the bunker bouncers. And you could ask him, but he's not around anymore. Hassan Hussein, whatever the hell his name was.
Yeah.
What the bunker bouncers did, they got him out of the mountains.
Yep.
You know, the graveyard of geniuses. Yeah, because everybody got stuck in there until we came along with the bunker bouncers or bombs.
Busters.
And that was the end of that. Well, those tunnels will collapse. And I'm done. It's America first. These ones we're deporting out of here, they have rights. They don't have rights to non-American citizens. Sorry.
No, Tom, they are allowed due process. To which I say, not if you are not a citizen. How can they bring up the Constitution of the United States when you're talking about a non-citizen?
Right.
And by the way, we're not Russia. We're not lining up and blowing their brains out. We're just getting them the hell out of here to whence they came.
If somebody breaks into my house, I got to let them stay in my house until we can get a court date.
Right.
And find out if they really did break into my house and go through all the bullshit.
Right.
Nah.
No.
And by the way, why aren't they staying with any of these Hollywood elites or Sandy Cortez or
Put them on the mansions.
Albright? What's her name out there? Maxine Waters out in L.A.
Waters.
The Department of Education is being shut down, and she's not going to stand for it. Do you know that the kids in her district took a math test and a wallflower only lost by 10 points?
Very true.
And the wallflower didn't answer a question.
Very true.
Maxine Waters, who, by the way, lives in
Hollywood. Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills. AOC. If they touch those people that went into that detention center, they'll be held to pay. Take a look at her district.
The Bronx.
Well, you can't really because there's open rape, open sodomy, shit on the street.
Feces.
Yes, real shit. Not horse shit.
Human.
Real shit. They rob and sell right in front of the bodegas.
Yeah.
That's in her district. That's what she'll do for you.
It's doing great.
Satanic socialists and Bernie Sanders, he's touring the country fighting bureaucracy. Yeah. The fuck's he?
Actually, bureaucracy is being funded by Doge to get rid of people that aren't doing anything. Now, if they're getting rid of people we really need, okay, take a step back, figure it out. But you got to get rid of some of this crap.
Sesame Street in Iraq.
I think that's huge, Tom. It's big.
Wait a minute, Infidel. I want to see what Bedbird's doing. Oh, this Miss Piggy. I think I could do that.
Piggy is very sexy. The frog should like that.
Now, seriously, if you have a friend that's Democratic, if they're not hiding in their head in the sand, they should be because it's horrific.
Yeah.
Horrific. Yeah. And you don't see anything that this guy's done. Oh, it'll start World War III. No, the Chinese today have reneged, and it's not over with them. I know it.
We know that. But, you know what? It came out this morning, and we have a deal with them on tariffs. Now, the stock market went wild today. Perfectly positive. It was great. And we'll see. But right now, we have we are up year to date. See, they went crazy the minute he talked about tariffs.
The average American can't afford
a
car. Well, by the way, have you looked at sticker prices before any of this happened?
Yeah.
Buy a car.
Anyway.
By the way, a lot of these tariffs, Chuck, and put the glasses back up by the face, okay, Chuck? Didn't even kick in yet.
No.
And we're going, what are we going to do?
Oh,
but buy American.
Well,
buy American.
They will
Chinese
not
cheap
buy
shit.
our stuff there.
Don't.
That is the key.
Buy
it's
American.
Got to change.
We got a sponsor of the show, Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, I think of his last name real quick now. Doggone it. Tom Zach, Cleveland grad. He makes these flags. They're phenomenal. He's now got a line of clothing. It's all American.
Yeah, wooden flags.
I'm
wooden
telling
Marine
you,
Corps, Army, Navy.
I am going to get the address and stuff up and the website. Shame on me for not having it today. You want to buy a really cool gift for somebody, maybe a new homeowner or something. These things are awesome, and it's a family business. He's kicking ass, and it's a great
The
product.
problem is he has sold out of Palestinian flags because the New World Order wanted them all.
Here's the best part.
He wouldn't do it.
He wouldn't make any
he
Palestinian
wouldn't.
flags. I love this kid.
I know.
His dad's great. It's just a family business. They're kicking
Okay.
ass, and it's all American made.
Duke.
It's a great gift idea. It really is.
And
And
Duke
I will
is
have the
joining the
information
show.
next show.
Well,
Thanks,
and
Duke.
I got one for my brother, U.S. Marine Corps flag, and he's right on his front door.
They're awesome.
I mean-
And you can, if you want to design your own, he can do that too. There's a website. I was out there, the clothing, everything's awesome, and God bless him. The kid's doing a great job. By the way, he watches the show too.
Well, anybody who watches the show, it's number one in our book.
Well, it is, and a lot of the stuff we've talked about, you've heard here first. The pier in Hamas that our troops were putting in, which was the best kept secret on our local stations, and they were getting shot at. They were putting in docks so that it could feed some of the refugees.
Right.
We lost the servicemen in that. You heard that on this show. I told you that.
That's right.
And they had to pull out.
But
and,
you didn't hear it on I'm
There were
Lester.
holds. Anyways, guys, if you have Democratic friends, harass them a little bit. I think it's time. Usually you don't want to get into politics. I'll put it this way. Don't wreck family barbecues and a party. But if they're talking, fire back. Don't be ashamed. Do it
By the
that
way, it's starting to come out now with all the papers being released. The Warren Commission was a complete joke. Kennedy was killed most likely by the CIA, but it was definitely government. And it was because he had just come up with the pact that we were withdrawing from Vietnam.
Right.
And there was a name for the pact, I forgot.
By the way,
Tolson or something.
if you look back on your shows, that
You
was
said
told
that.
here. We told you. I had read a book on that.
And then they said, I think I'm going to say Tolson Act. It might not be it, but it started with a T. And the minute that human Texas piece of raw sewage swore in, he pulled the act.
And remember, too,
And his wife, Lady Bird, she had ties to Halliburton.
Yeah.
It's the biggest joke ever. They blew the man's brain out
Who was
because we
the-
were getting out of Vietnam.
who was the Russian at the time? Khrushchev?
Yes.
Khrushchev and Kennedy were having, excuse me, backdoor
Don't
talks,
say backdoor.
and they had a deal. They
Clandestine.
both were going to leave the Vietnam and the Thailands and all that alone.
Yeah.
When he was assassinated, and they had flown back to Washington, Khrushchev's representatives went to the White House or wherever it would have been to pass on condolences, and said to Jackie Kennedy, "Is the deal off?" And she said, "It might be, but Bobby, who was Attorney General,
Yep.
Bobby, we'll have to revisit it with Bobby and what happened to Bobby."
Yep.
But
That was years later,
that is-
but-
right, but that's what it would have
Yeah.
taken.
Yeah.
But Khrushchev was ready. They didn't want to get tangled up in the Middle East or the
Vietnam.
Vietnam. What
You-
do they call that? The Indochina.
You guys need to watch the new Netflix 5-part series on Vietnam. My brother, God bless him, he doesn't want to watch it. It's reliving bad memories. But a couple of the key things that came out there. That war was not winnable. And the reason, there was many reasons. But first of all, the North Vietnamese would never stop. They just had more and more people. It didn't matter how many we killed. Secondly, the Viet Cong were South Vietnamese who staged themselves in South Vietnam because they didn't like their government. And now they all look alike.
Right.
And that's not a joke about Asians. Okay? Now you walk into villages and there's Viet Cong in there, but you think they're the South Vietnamese army.
Well, they broke the Manhattan Treaty, which clearly stated that there had to be set uniforms.
You got to, and I thought that they should have had stripes on theirs.
There should have been set uniforms.
Should have been set uniform.
And they broke it, and you're going against. Now what do you do, right? I mean, who are we shooting at?
That jackass LBJ gets a commissioned study to the CIA, and they come back and say, we cannot win this war. And Westmoreland over there kept coming back saying, we can do, give me more men. And my brother was sent there in the escalation of LBJ while he was in Camp Pendleton when they sent 300,000 more men. You rotten. I hope
And-
that the worms have ate your asshole out.
And our advantage was the bombing,
Yeah.
but they stopped that.
Yeah, because
it was inhumane.
it was
and then that
inhumane.
rotten bitch, Barbarella,
Yeah.
went over there and she's kissing the North Vietnamese artillery and sitting on it, and Wang Hung Lo probably got a chunk.
I gotta tell you, for historical reasons, you should watch it. But if you're anything like me, you're gonna have fire coming out of your ears.
Well, and also, if you don't, there's some great books out, and they call it Special Operation Group, SOG or something like that. When we really started kicking ass is when we'd send in 6 guys behind the lines, and they just did mucho damage. But they had to be real careful because the leaks and the corruption in South Vietnam was ridiculous.
Yep.
Their groups would be ambushed. There was only one common denominator: South Vietnam. So they started giving the South Vietnamese fake information,
reports.
and they'd
Yeah.
go in here. But there's some fascinating stuff there, and those Vietnam guys, they really did.
It was amazing what they did under
God
those
bless them.
circumstances.
And the average age of the of soldier in South Vietnam was 19.
18 or 19.
World War II was like 26.
Yeah.
And
They were literally kids.
another interesting stat: in World War II, the 26-year-old average age saw combat maybe once or twice a week.
A week, yeah.
And these kids in Vietnam, it was almost a daily thing. So there's a lot of fascinating information out there. If you want some good books, I can suggest a few. Wayne's read a few, but really is.
It's a disgusting war that we shouldn't have been in. And I always thought, and I'm going to admit it right here on camera, I always thought that Nixon was a pretty good president except for Watergate. I thought it was his one real flaw. Well, guess what? It wasn't. He escalated it too. While he said behind the back, everything, we're going to get out of this war. That was his campaign promise in '68. We're going to get out of this war, and that son of a bitch escalated it too.
Part of the problem, back in that back then, just like today, the behind the scenes, the lobbyists, big certain companies,
Defense contractors, mostly.
in that case, they're right, and now that's what this guy in office today he's standing up against.
Yeah.
He's standing up against all that shit. He's breaking the norm. Obama tried, Clinton tried, one of the Bushes
Because
tried,
he's not a politician.
Reagan tried, and you run into a brick wall. This guy's saying, no, we're going to do it.
We're doing it. And
And
you
this
know what it
country's
is?
gonna be
Remember
better.
the whole thing about you're better off asking for forgiveness than asking for permission?
Right.
That's what he's doing, because guess what? The former 5 presidents, they asked for permission.
Right, and it
And
all
got
gets
nowhere.
and it all gets stonewalled in committee after committee.
Committee after committee.
Where does a bill go to die? Capitol Hill, right?
Capitol
Wasn't there a
Hill.
book we read? Sister
Yeah.
Mike Land made us read it.
Well, she
But,
had problems, but
She was ahead of her time, I think.
Yeah.
That was a penguin that knew what she was doing.
Penguin.
But anyways,
so that's our political stance for today.
Sabres real quick. The draft will be coming up. We'll talk about that down the road. We didn't win the lottery.
Whatever.
We had our local bullshit tell us that no matter what, even if we win it, trade it. It's stupidity, guys. The bottom line with the Sabres, I'm going to say it again: patience, patience, patience. In the off season, I'd like to see another McLeod trade, right?
Yep.
But what do the experts? I'm not even going to say the station anymore because it blows. But they got to trade for a top 6. Adams refuses to trade for a top 6 forward. You can take that number 1 pick and trade for a top 6 forward. Where?
9th
When?
overall is going to get us. I don't
even know first overall.
I don't. In this draft, probably not. So we draft.
So I'm sorry. Sure, and then bring in a Vezina, 12-time winning Vezina goalie to come in. No, patience,
For a 7th
guys.
round pick.
As far as the czar of hockey, I love this one. The consultant, we brought in Eric Stahl, and he really hasn't won a lot. Guys, it's an internship type of consultant thing.
That's all it
Who
is.
cares? But
Paul Hamilton's kind of a jerk, but Paul Hamilton said the other night, he said,
kind of.
oh, okay, he is. But he did say this, and I kind of agree. He goes, look, he's learning on the job, and because he's been in the league so long, Adams could go to him and say, look, I'm thinking of looking at this guy.
What do you think?
What are the pros? What are the cons? You played against them.
It's
That kind of stuff. But what they're really doing now is they're looking at former GMs to come in and be a senior consultant. And then they got rid of the strength and conditioning coach. They're calling the new guy director of performance. I didn't know what that meant. It's physical performance.
he was unhappy with a lot of the soft tissue injuries and stuff.
And the fact that we are the worst team in hockey in the third period.
Right. And
We didn't have stamina.
And well, a lot of that too is when you're down. But it's easier to keep a lead than, well, whatever. Well, that's for another day or whatever. But no, they looked at that. They weren't happy with it. But I think, and we've used this before to bail out the county and the city, a control board.
Yeah, get about 64 people.
Well, no, I was thinking
40 have to be
3
black.
or 5. It has to be an
Odd number.
Odd number because of voting purposes.
How many black though?
At least one minority and one.
Just one?
I would say one LGBTQTACY.
Okay. So out of 5, I'm thinking 3 blacks, a white, and an LGBTQ.
Why are people so up about this director, this hockey czar?
Well, here's what I'll say. I'm going to take a stance on that that's different than you. I think that we've seen, let's forget about 14 years, 5 years of what we thought was going to work and hasn't. Why not try something different?
Right, add them on.
That's what I am. That's
Right.
what I say. Because it hasn't worked. And quite frankly, you and I were talking on the phone the other day. I do not see a reason why this team can't get in the
neither.
playoffs next year. There's talent here. I've seen it.
I also don't see any team that I say we can't beat them.
No, I agree.
Sorry. We tried some things. We looked back at the team with Eichel and Kane and Bogosian, not Bogosian, Ryan O'Reilly. How did they not make the playoffs?
I don't
right?
know.
But I
know.
don't think the answer is firing Adams and cleaning out everything.
No, I don't think. And at this point, I think what he's doing, I think, is probably the best of all the options he had. He's bringing in Stahl. He's going to just give a little chirp in the ear or look at some things. He's bringing in a senior advisor. He's got a new strength and conditioning performance guy. He's making some moves. Now, I think we have 2 moves away from being a solid team. Number 1, right-hand defenseman, that stay-at-home defenseman that pounds you, that plays next to Power. All right, Power. And then secondly, I would say probably a top 9 forward that can put the puck in the net. And
Another McLeod.
another McLeod type deal where we give something up. And then third, either our goaltenders play well or we find somebody that can, because you cannot shot, score. That
No.
shouldn't have went in.
When you watch these games now, in fact, the 4 nations too,
Mhm.
all these teams make the same mistakes we make.
Mhm.
All right? Less of them, obviously, but they make them. I've watched Toronto now.
Every
Name
team
the
makes
team.
them.
Name the team. Not being able to get the puck out of
Well,
the zone.
and you know, before it's a game of mistakes,
Right.
Because it's going at 100 miles an hour, and guys are all over you.
Right.
It's a game of mistakes.
The biggest thing is the mistake Matthews made in the 4 nations. He
Right.
left this guy. It is a game of mistakes. The problem with the Sabres is
That ends up in our net.
they paid for too many
Pay
of them.
dearly. Yep.
And when we had the now infamous 13-game losing streak, the goaltending there was not good. Okay, many of those games we were in, and but Adams should have known after the first 3 that were, I think, 1-goal losses. It might have been
Yeah,
even 1
at
overtime.
that point, he's got to fire.
There's
about
10
six
more
people.
coming. And this most ridiculous
agree.
act that most of our media members like to say is he could have done something, cut somebody. All right, you've lost 5 of those 13, because I guess you don't want to wait to the 13.
Right, because then it's
So who we cut? Well, they say Uki Cabell, right?
Yeah.
Who wasn't even playing. You're going to cut him because you're losing games? You think you're going to get a free agent to come then? It's just stupidity.
You know, I found myself watching hockey games when it was tight for the Sabres. And I would say to Pete or say to myself or say to my son, something's coming here. It's going to be a flip shot from the point
Right.
that hits off somebody's butt, or it's going to be from the sidewall. And I can't tell you how many times that happened
Right.
in a close game. And it's got to stop.
No, and your goaltending bails you out and you bail them out. It works both ways.
Absolutely.
When you're struggling, you need that goalie to pull out a game or two. And the good teams, their goalies steal them a game, maybe 5-6 a year, stealing a game now.
Yeah,
I could say maybe 3 for us this year.
maybe.
So, I mean, there was some games, guys, that we were 680. And well, that's the point
720.
blank. Well, I'm just telling you what the stats are.
It doesn't matter. You
know?
can't. Sub 900 goaltending is pitiful. Well, sub 800 is pitiful. We had a ton of that.
The new norm in the league is like 904.
904,
right? That's
905. That's actually good.
good. UPL.
880.
The hope here is that this Levi kid, this guy, is friggin' great in college.
Viva Alexis.
He dominated midget. Each level up, he dominated. College, he turned pro with us.
Mm-hmm.
We made the trade. That sealed it. Whatever was it Reinhardt?
Yep.
We got Levi. That sealed the deal there. He's faltered horrifically, I'm told, by
That's not true.
when he's
Now,
come here.
has he been stellar? No.
No.
He's a kid.
Right. He now has gone to the AHL. He's got a 920 in
That's-
playoff hockey save percentage.
And he had 6 or 7 shutouts regular season. He's got 2 already in one series.
He is putting up some really great
Incredible
numbers.
numbers.
And Ryan Miller struggled when he came up to the Sabres.
Mm-hmm.
It takes each level, guys have to adjust. Yuri Kulik, you've heard that name here before, did very well in the AHL.
Yep.
You have to adjust when you come here. You
And
adjust
now
to the
he's doing.
flow.
Now Yuri Kulik ended the year as the center for the top line with Thompson and
And the,
the
Benson.
kid, the small one, Benson.
But then another thing that happened with the Sabres, they had no business going to New Jersey or to go into Europe for that shit. We got screwed with that deal. Whatever.
And we did.
But when you bring up Kulik and he's ready to play here, he needs familiarity,
Right.
consistency. Then you start getting the injuries to the Dahlins and the Tage Thompsons. Now guys start playing
Way
in
above their
positions
heads.
where they're not better suited.
They're not ready.
Now, does that mean we can never have Tage Thompson get hurt? No. As these younger guys get better, you can cover a loss of Tage Thompson, a Dahlin, but they're not at that point yet.
No.
So
They're close. I really feel
they're
it.
getting very, very close. It'll get to the point where when you have this talent, and Thompson does hurt his wrist again or whatever, you got Kulik, you got Quinn, Paterka, or whatever combination. And guys, we got some really nice prospects in Rochester. Again, they're not Connor McDavid, but they're 200-foot hockey players.
And they can score.
Some of those answers you're asking for,
Are right in
we
our own
might
system.
have there. Now, you bring up the right-handed shot from Rochester, he's younger.
Right.
You're going to have a little bit of patience with him. But if the team's better, you watch the better teams. Carolina's a perfect example. Florida, they're playing some of their younger guys, but you can fit into a better
They're
team
mixed in with veterans. A lot of veterans.
so much easier. And I'm going to use the Bandits, for example. When the Bandits lose a key guy, they'll bring in a Scanlon or whatever. They fit in better because they're a better veteran team that knows each other.
Right.
When you're younger, it kind of spins everybody back when you lose a key guy.
It hurts a lot
It
more.
won't always be that way, you know? And you shovel the lines. Like McLeod with that third line was perfect, but he had to play top six.
And he wasn't a top 6 guy.
Cousins, we counted on quite a bit to be top 6, struggled, should have been moved down, wasn't.
Couldn't because we didn't have anybody else push up.
Well, I think still he should have been, even there was times we could have, but he kept him on that power play.
Well, I think he was thinking.
Play it out of it.
7th overall, we got to get it, yeah, blah, blah, blah.
But sometimes
don't work.
throw all that shit out and just develop the guy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And there's more to all those stories than we'll ever know, too, right?
I think,
That's a young man that cried that he was leaving here, though. You know, just,
yeah, he absolutely loved the team and his friends and the city. But, you know, he started out like a house on fire. And at the end of I'm reading on NHL.com that Ottawa's not real happy with him at the end of the year and in the playoffs. So,
No.
you know,
What is it? I don't know.
I don't know what happened to him, the poor kid, because he's lost something. But
Our
maybe he'll get it back.
local jackasses will tell us that he never had the proper cooking in the AHL. Well, now we have guys cooking in the AHL. Well,
then-
how long do we have to
How
wait?
long are we waiting?
But the truth of that is, I always find that funny because, all right, so he didn't play in the AHL. Does that stay with you the rest of your life?
That's it. You're done.
Like some of these high drafted quarterbacks, right? That have great college careers. They come in, they struggle. They're nothing.
They're terrible.
They can't even hold for a field goal
No,
anymore.
they can't. So,
Again, how many times on this show have you and I said they need a better team psychologist? Because we did find out that they actually indeed have
they
one.
have one, but they need a better
But,
one.
Bills had a phenomenal draft.
Yeah, we'll get into deeper next time.
We'll dig into that.
Well, what a nice draft. And I'll tell you what, you got Josh, you got this coaching, you got a GM who finds people. We're going
Last at GR55. I know
yeah,
I
I'm so
wasn't going
happy.
to say it, but I
So
loved
happy.
it.
By the way, it's going to happen. Josh will pull one in here. I firmly
Oh, yeah,
believe it.
I do too.
And
Mary Wilson told me that.
Yes.
I met Mary Wilson. She said, honey, we're going to win.
We're gonna win.
We just haven't had her day yet.
So
Wonderful lady.
get the rosary beads out and let's do it. But at any event,
Whatever it takes.
We're going to get there, and let's just enjoy the ride, though, because it has been so much fun.
By the way, they talk about with these. I'm not going to go back to the Yellow Pages again.
No.
If we could just get in a playoff game, watch one playoff game. You've gotten how many playoff games out of the Bills, and it's not good enough.
No, we
You
got
want the
that
German
one. You
can.
can't get over the hump.
Bean can.
Right. Now
Guys,
you can't get over the hump, but the Sabres just make the playoffs.
I just want 4 games so I can bet on it and have a cigar.
Right.
By the way, real quick, the Bandits playing in their 5th consecutive NLL championship. They're going for a 3-peat. It's a ton of fun. If you're not on,
They're
you might want to
incredible.
get. It really is a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
I know it's not one of the 3 big. It is becoming. I don't think indoors in the Olympics, but outdoors going to be, right?
Yes. Stop.
But we got everything we want in our teams, and the Bills have a lot of what we want.
A lot of what we
But
want.
our hockey team, these guys have.
Balls.
You
balls
hit
of
one,
steel.
4 of them hit you back. They asked one of our players after the clincher to go to the championship, which one of the 2 teams do you want to play? And he said, whoever knocks on the door. I love it.
Love that attitude.
I love it too. And it's great. That building rocks, guys. It's a beautiful, beautiful arena, and it rocks, and it's going to rock again too when skates are out there.
Beautiful. Well, listen, fun day. It's what are we talking about today? It's May 12th,
May 12th.
day after Mother's Day, and it's beautiful out. I guess we've got some rain coming for a few days, but you know what? Let's turn the table here. Let's turn the calendar. Let's get to summer. That before you know it, it'll be draft for the Sabres. Bills will be in camp.
I don't want to push any of that though, right?
No,
like
no,
you
no.
said,
There's
enjoy
no
every day.
wishing it away because, quite frankly, I don't know how many days you and I have left.
Well, I'm in the 4th quarter,
Yeah.
hoping for I don't want to get to a shootout, maybe OT, but I wouldn't want to push that.
We're in the on deck
By the
circle.
way,
We're
the
in
herd-
the 4th. Yeah.
I will say this: tomorrow's Blue Jays are not playing downtown.
No, they blow.
I wish the Riches. I know he likes to swim around the Cape Good Horn down there in the Keys, but could you just ask him to put a couple of AAA veterans on this team?
We stink.
I don't know what their record is, but it wasn't.
It's not good.
It's a beautiful ballpark.
Last time I
Voted
looked-
one of the best.
Last time I looked, they were 9-16.
Yeah, I
Sweet
think they're a
Jesus.
little better than that, but we don't have a paper here because that's made in Cleveland. It's fun to go to the games. It's a lot of fun. The facility is beautiful.
Yeah.
But I have my new Meta glasses. They're really cool.
Yeah.
I tried to listen to the game on the radio while I was watching it.
Mhm.
It's like an inning behind.
it's
How
not
are
close.
are they really sending plays into these quarterbacks? Are they really challenging pitches? Because where is the speed going to? Alpha Centauri?
I think it's got to go all the way there and back. That's the.
We got
Oh, we got mass hysteria out here. Dogs,
yeah, we have the that's the
dogs
annual,
and cats living together. Mass
the
hysteria.
Eagles are walking back over to the old Mother Divine Grace. No, they're not. I'm kidding. Shame on me. But everybody, we love you all.
Yeah.
Again, happy Mom's Day
Yep.
to all the moms out there. And
Upcoming Memorial Day. And,
Eddie, we got to get in touch, buddy.
well, we'll talk soon. I'll be gone for a week, but I'll be back and we'll do a show.
Wayne's on special assignment in Naples. He's going to be doing some undercover work for
Yeah,
us.
I'm doing some undercover. We'll have a couple reports from there.
We also have
Um,
Timmy, who we answered the question to earlier in the show. He's doing some work on the Ivy League campuses, and we don't want to get much more involved.
No,
in
you
that.
can't really talk more about that. But for me, I'm going to be looking into illegal migration in Naples.
Well, the one thing we will touch on, and we've said it again on the show. It seems like we say a lot of that. These protests.
Yeah.
There seems to be one thing that leads the whole deal. Do you know what that is?
No.
The drummer. And we're gonna do. Our buddy in New York there is going to do some work on the drummer. You take the drummer out, you end the protest.
That's it. Over there, I'll walk home.
They do.
I'll get paid by Soros. They don't care. See you later.
They all, and they bust to another location.
Bada, bada, bop,
By the way, I
bada,
hate
bada,
George
bop.
Soros, and I'd like you to hate him too. I didn't vote for George Soros.
I didn't either. All right, guys. Have a good night.
And by the way, too,
Oh, wait.
paying
He's
for
not
these
done.
transgender medication
not done.
surgeries.
He's not
I
done.
have just gone through a spring of horrific arthritis in my knees.
Yeah.
There's like stem cell therapies and stuff, but it's not covered by insurance. Where's my money? Can I, instead of a weenerectomy, can I get some stem cells in the knees?
Yeah. How about a little gimme Jimmy?
Because I mean, I know it's not the third leg, but it's two of my legs.
How about a little gimme Jimmy for us, huh?
Yeah. I mean, seriously, but we got to keep bending over and paying for all this bullshit.
I know we're embarking. All right, guys. Have a great night. Better tomorrow.
Send all letters in the P.O. Box 114 1516 at the West Seneca Post Office.
And by the way, tonight, keep it in your necks.
It's always the best place to keep it. Give it.
No, we don't have it.